Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Monday, August the 21st, 2025, and today's video will be called Sketching Stylized Clothing, and it is part of a series, a deep dive into sketching clothes, drawing clothes, that will lead to other things like different types and also like equipment and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of focus on figure drawing and clothing, of course, and also like character design. But before we begin, welcome back if you are returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day, and I use timers to stay focused and to build a habit, and I usually use 10-minute timers. I started off with 5 minutes, but nowadays it's like 10 minutes. So yeah, I started a 10-minute timer. I sketched this yesterday. Basically, I want to do this one. I'll probably be able to do one figure. This is sort of like the look. So there's a lot going on, and I'm going to get warmed up. If you are using these as kind of to build a habit or something, or to sketch along with, yeah, like I like to warm up, and it's helpful whenever there is something to kind of look off of. So that's helpful. And then the other thing is, it's also helpful if you kind of have like a figure like this. So what's going on with this page? So I'll put links. There's a lot more information in the other videos. Obviously, I won't go over all of that, but yeah, check them out if you want to know more of the process and the methodology and the techniques and stuff. On this one, which I'm not going to work on today, I took the base figure, like the female model sheet, used the same proportions but changed like the shapes. So the proportion kind of meaning like the divisions of the body. So that's why they'll look similar but also different. And then you can kind of just compare that. Same with this, like this is the male model. I just changed some things here and there. Part of that is because I'm just interested, like I'm curious on how that works, and I haven't done things exactly in this kind of way. So I'm experimenting with this also. Then I'm going to work on this one. In the other videos, you'll see different approaches. So today, like the approach is, I have the pencil sketch of like the figure, which again, you could have used the model sheet or just sketch something real quick. I find that proportions can be kind of tedious, so that's why I did the model sheets, just to have the proportions, because that's just kind of like a technical thing. There were these different approaches, and today what I'm going to do is, I have reference just like with this, but the reference is just fashion. It's just yeah, like different outfits and stuff, like pictures of it, like on Pinterest. I had mentioned that I wanted to do a video where I talked about like coats and stuff. So I'm just kind of mixing a lot of things, because in practice, that's usually how it works. I don't really sit and like just study like one thing, because it's pretty boring. So I like characters, I like stories and stuff. So, and I like to draw like in a certain way, like pen and ink, for example. But then even within that, there's like different approaches. So now that I have this, I'll kind of create something that kind of goes with it. Part of this is the idea of coats. And I like that because, kind of like with yesterday, like the suits and stuff, the business attire, as I called it, you can, there's interesting shapes. So I'm just kind of getting warmed up, but at the same time thinking about like the outfit, but going back to like the idea of reference. So I'm going to make up a lot. That's why I'm going to call it stylizing. So for example, I'm going to just get ideas for like how far down the coat is going to go. And you can kind of fake some stuff like this, where just do like a squiggly kind of like a curtain, and use the figure to kind of figure out like the boundaries. Make up some stuff. You can make up things like wrinkles, but I'll take this figure like to kind of this look. Now, the reference can be pretty different, and that's okay. And since the position is, the pose is pretty neutral, everything will kind of be pretty symmetrical. But yeah, I'm just getting ideas for the placement of things. So for example, some stuff here, like the pants. So this approach is where I'm not going to I'm being pretty definite about, you can play around with this, about like these lines right here. They're going to be there, since I can't erase the ink lines, but I can erase like pencil lines. So yeah, you can sketch it out in pencil. Like I didn't sketch that out in pencil. But once you kind of have something to look off of, like the style, then it's a little bit easier. The other thing that's going on is it's kind of this idea of character design. It's kind of hard to teach. Like I don't really know like how to get people to be able to design characters. All I can really do is design characters and demonstrate how to draw stuff. There's sort of it's kind of like with writing songs, which I'm not good at, but I really like and like I appreciate it. It's kind of like that. Like I'm not sure what makes a good song. I mean, people can come up with songs, but then what makes one song better than another? It's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into it. But you can listen. You can listen to songs and kind of get an idea. And some people just sort of pick up on it. So this is kind of how I do it. Sort of, I look at a lot of stuff and I draw a lot. So the reference isn't exactly like this, but I'm just sort of making it up. I'm just sort of checking the silhouette. I mean, I know that that's like a big thing when it comes to character design, is the silhouette. And being pretty definite about it. The proportions help. If you were to just kind of do this, I would just be like, if I didn't have like the figure underneath it, I would just not worry so much about I would think more about like the shapes and stuff. But part of it is these are supposed to be kind of style guides, so they're meant to be sort of easy to follow. So for the pants, for example, I'm just going to do what I was talking about yesterday. I'm going to think about sort of the shape of it because it's all different. So for example, I might pick like where the center starts and then just drop a line down like this, keeping in mind like the boundaries of the legs. Again, I mean, this is sort of the very kind of static pose. It's like basically the shoes. This one could use like another pass of detail, but like it doesn't have to. I would say that this is detailed. So this is like the sketch right here. But there was a pencil sketch, and then this is like the ink sketch. So I'll put in some details for the face. Part of that is the pen is kind of thick, so kind of have to keep that in mind. So I'm going to just leave that for now. Not too bad. So I would say that this is the sketch right here. I don't see anything too off about it. But this is when you would want to make sort of the adjustments, if you can see it. Yeah, make sure to get the back of the jacket. Just do something like that. So that's how you can kind of get an outline. That should have maybe been higher up, but I'm just gonna leave it. So there might be stuff like that, like maybe the curves might be a little off, but it's not too bad. And I could be wrong about that too. But anyway, the point is that this is a pretty good outline. You might still want to leave the pencil, because I erased like the pencil. So the pencil lines is coming from the figure, but not like the clothing. So the pencil lines might still help you with like shadows and stuff. So that'll be the next step. So I had this idea just now that maybe the back of the coat maybe should be higher up. So basically what I got from the reference was kind of just sort of like the proportion of like the clothing, but like it's gonna look different. So the jacket I'm gonna make black just to do it, just to like experiment with the look, just to have it look kind of different than that, because this one looks kind of gray or something. So I'm gonna bring the front down a little bit more, which maybe I kind of wanted to do anyway. So I think that looks a little bit more accurate because that's like further, that's going around the form. I'm just going to go ahead and just use a Sharpie. I have some other markers, but this is what I have right now. I want to have a good drawing, but at the same time, it's also a kind of a style guide and a schematic or a diagram for just like the character. There's not like a ton of, it's mostly about like the look and not so much like the life, like the pose or anything. I already know like I want the jacket to be black, but like you don't have to fill in like the whole thing. I had adjusted this so that would be a good place to kind of start, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and just start adding this. And leaving some areas kind of like that, like that's the highlight, but sort of being spontaneous because so it doesn't look too mechanical. So that's one way to start. Same with like the wrinkles, because if I'm going to make it dark, I might want to just again, this is an approach. I'm going to go back in and like clean it up a little bit. Part of it is I might get some ideas for wrinkles by doing this. They might kind of show up. And for like a black coat like this, I mean, most of it will be covered up, and you kind of want to squint at it a little bit to see the effect. So for example, like some of these wrinkles could just be left, like you don't have to draw them in, they're just kind of there. I would call this the light and the dark like stage. So the first stage is the sketch. And if you're going to ink it, you might have a pencil sketch, but I wouldn't spend a ton of time on the pencil sketch unless you're still learning to ink it or like need it to be precise, or you could just kind of make up stuff. So here is the light and the dark. So I'm going to clean up some of this. So basically the idea is that the light is coming from over here, kind of like this. I'm just making it sort of match, but it doesn't have to be like exact, obviously. And at the same time, the coat is black. So most of it will look like this. That's what makes it look like it's that color. But then you can go in and like clean it up. So just to get started, that's what I'll do. And you'll notice like it does look like a darker color. Let's say that the pants are dark also, but like not as dark as like the coat. And you kind of have to just experiment. So for example, if I go like this, it could be black, but like it looks a little bit lighter. And that's just because of the pen lines. Part of it is just kind of looking at reference. At this point, this is sort of the reference. Like, doesn't look like any reference. It just kind of, it looks like its own drawing at this point. And you could use a different pen. So I'll use like a thinner pen just to get the, like the value, just to kind of get it going. Same with like the shoes. You can decide. So the reference doesn't really have like black shoes, but you could decide to make it like that. So with that, you can just that's one way to do it. So that's one way to make it look kind of reflective. Part of it is just like different. You could use markers for this. The line work, like if you use a thin pen, it will have a different look to it. For things like the face, you just have to take your time. That's why I have a separate like how to draw heads and stuff, because it's a big part of it. Because a big part of the character design is the face, and you just have to practice it. And it depends on like the scale of the, like this sketch is pretty small, like the face, and of course like the character itself. Now this is going into a little bit of the detail stage. So you had the sketch, you had the light and dark, and then detail would be one, cleaning up like the look. Like you could leave it like this, and this would, I would consider this like a sketch, like a quick sketch. The details would be stuff like obviously the belt buckle. like that's a detail. It's also things like cleaning up the lines, so making it look detailed. Sometimes you want to step away from it though. So that you can see if it reads. It's really picking out like what looks good about it and just getting smaller shapes. And there might be little like details on the clothing. So notice that I made that shape smaller, but like the big shape was there. And even stuff like this, where you're kind of cutting across the, like the form. That's what I mean by detail. And also like you're cleaning up stuff. And that just takes time. I would do it as far as, like if you have an idea, just do it, like go in and clean up something. But then don't force it. I mean, this is where a lot of the character will come out. I'll keep detailing this, and then once this starts to like get detailed, then that sort of can help with another one. This figure will probably be maybe a different kind of outfit, like maybe like a medieval outfit or something. But that'll be it for today. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.